But in the end, he and Clancy just stood and watched as the EMTs brought out the body bag, turned the lights off, and drove silently away. At his grandmother's house in Lagos, any death in the neighborhood caused a flurry in the kitchen. As a kid visiting on school holidays, he'd often been tasked with delivering the steaming platters of food to the bereaved. So he made a stew the next day, wrote a condolence card, and carried it across the street. When no one answered the door, he left it on the stoop. An hour later, he found it back on his own doorstep with a terse note. "Thanks, but I don't like chicken." Theo looked down at Clancy and shrugged. "I thought everyone liked chicken." They ate it themselves. It was delicious, infused with the complex flavors of grilled peppers and his homemade, slow-simmered stock. Not that Clancy, the Kelpie, cared about that. In the no-nonsense insouciance of his hardy breed, he'd eat anything. The thought of that casserole made Theo's mouth water. He glanced at the clock in the corner of his laptop. 4 p.m. Too early to quit. As he started typing, Clancy circled under the desk and flopped back down across his instep. Theo began typing again. These arresting... No. Strike that. These compelling images are the only known surviving works created by an artist born into slavery. No, strike that. Make it enslaved. Vernacular, yet eloquent. They become semaphores from a world convulsed. Living, no, make it surviving through the Civil War. Forsaking, no, make it escaping the tyranny of the plantation for a marginalized life in the city. The artist seems compelled to bear witness to his own reality, paradoxically exigent, yet rich. Awful. It still read like a college paper, not a magazine article. He flipped through the images on his desk. The artist confidently depicted what he knew: the crowded, vibrant world of 19th century black domestic life. He had to keep the text as simple and direct as the images. Bill Traylor, born enslaved, has left us the only... A movement across the street drew his eye up from the screen. The neighbor was trying to move an overstuffed recliner. It was teetering on its side on the top step as she struggled to keep a grip on it. She could use help. He did a quick personal inventory. Shorts on? Check. T-shirt? Check. Working in his unair-conditioned apartment, Theo would sometimes spend the whole day in his underwear, forgetting all about his déshabillement until confronted by the quizzical gaze of the FedEx guy. He reached the other side of the street just as gravity won, prizing the chair from her grip. He jumped up the step and body-blocked it. Her only acknowledgement was a grunt and a quick lift of her chin. She bent down and grabbed the underside of the chair. Theo hefted an armrest. Together, crabwise, they shuffled to the curb. The woman straightened, pushing back her thin, straw-colored hair and rubbing her fists into the small of her back. She waved an arm at the ziggurat. "Anything you want." Then she turned and ascended the steps. Theo couldn't imagine wanting anything in this sadness-infused pile of discards. His apartment was sparsely furnished, a mid-century modern desk and a Nelson sofa acquired at a thrift store. The rest of the available space was filled mostly with art books, shelved on scavenged planks and milk crates he'd spray-painted matte black. But Theo, the son of 2 diplomats, had been raised by the commandment that bad manners were a mortal sin. He had to at least pretend to look. There were some old paperbacks stuffed into a beer carton. He was always curious about what people read. He reached down to check the titles.